Well. You're listening to Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright then, I may say words on point, straightforward. No jibber jabber, everybody forward. Issues, facts and solution. Get it at Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright, what other thing is a revolution? Get it on point with Professor Buitrón. Gloves Off, no nonsense issues, politics, community. A better men follow reader. Gloves Off, a revolutionary show with everything that you need to know. With Professor Buitrón. Watch ya!
Gloves Off is always on point. Bringing you the best on current issues, community affairs, and the happenings around us. This segment of Gloves Off is brought to you by the best, so pay them a visit. Check them out. This is Gloves Off. The following political paid advertisements do not reflect the political opinions of the program or its associates. Any political campaign or candidate who wishes to purchase advertising can do so. Advertising is open to all on behalf of Gloves Off.
We're back at you, gloves off, and today I have a great guest. Mary Perez, candidate for Justice of the Peace of Webb County, Precinct 1, Place 1. How are you doing, Mary?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How was your New Year's?
Awesome. It was really awesome. Yeah.
We're set 2 days into the new year, and guess what? Around the corner, you have a campaign.
I know. Yeah.
So how's that going?
It's going really well. The residents of Laredo have been very welcoming and very favorable to my campaign, and I'm very excited to see what the election brings. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, number one, how did you get involved, and what prompted you to say, you know what, I'm going to sign on the dotted line, because it's hard to do that. A lot of people say, I want to run, I want to do this, do that, but when it comes down to putting your John Hancock, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, yeah.
So tell me about
It
that.
took me a long while actually to finally say, yes, I'm going to do it, but I've always been involved in politics, but not local politics. It's been national politics that has always been a huge interest. And in 2018, during the mayoral races, I started going to debates, local debates, and I saw that some of the candidates were not qualified at all to run for office. I was really amazed at how much I've been missing for not being involved locally in politics. And I decided that there's definitely something that I can do to help our community, and if I run for office, that I can do much more than I can as just Mary Perez, the former paralegal, now small business owner, right? And yeah, and so I began researching about local politics and talking to people and letting them know that I was thinking of running, and then local activists were asking me to go to this place that this was happening, and they wanted me there, and I went and got really involved. And then they started asking me to run for office, and they needed me to run for office and help make a change in our community. And so I decided that the position for which I am currently best qualified is Justice of the Peace, and that's why I decided to run for that office. Yeah.
Those are good merits. You say activists. Who are the ones that were pushing you along? What groups?
Well, we have several groups. There is a Laredo Immigrant Alliance group. There is Risk group. We have several, and not only the activist groups. People like on Facebook as well were asking me when I would post attending a meeting, a city council meeting or a Webb County Commissioners meeting. They would post there, you should run for office and run for mayor. And I was like, wow, yes, I want to run, but it is difficult. It is so difficult to run for office, but it's so worth it. And I highly recommend everyone that's just thinking about it, don't think too much, just do it. Do it, and if you know and you feel in your heart that you can make a difference, a positive difference in our community, do it.
You're absolutely correct. If you help out in a campaign, if you help out during the election procedures, you're going to see a different face of the whole election process. See, a lot of people just sit back and complain. Oh, they're not doing this right. They're not doing this. I wish I could do this. It's the same old thing. Not until you go out there and literally try to push a candidate and explain to others why my candidate is the best qualified, or work within the election procedure. Because right now, everybody that loses says, you know what, it was corruption.
Oh, yeah.
You know what, corrupt, somebody voted, it's all corrupt, it's not corrupt, and then later on you find out that, no, basically, your candidate just lost. You know what I'm saying? So it's very hard to fathom that. And there's a lot of feelings and a lot of emotions that go into a campaign.
Yes.
There's a lot of money that goes into a campaign. People do not know the amount of money that goes in. So when people say, I'm gonna sign, and then all of a sudden, how much do I need for signs? How much do I need for advertisement? It starts getting, it gets expensive. And all the people that were pushing you start not having that push anymore. Hey, I need help here, and so on.
That's what I heard before I actually signed up and decided. Yeah, I heard you're gonna have like 20 people with you, and then at the end you're gonna have like 4. And I was like, okay. And so I was warned about everything. I was warned that there was crazy things, like there's gonna be people tapping your phones and listening to your conversations, and I was like, what? They're gonna be following you, and they're gonna tear your signs, and it's really dirty, and then I found out words that I didn't know existed. Cañoneros in Laredo. I was like, what? This one young lady said, I wrote my thesis on cañoneros in Laredo, and I was like, what are they? And they told me, and I was like, whoa. And then in 2018, I saw the actual cañoneros on Facebook, because now they're doing live video of people offering free $20 cards to go to Taco Palenque if you go vote for their campaign candidate or whatever. And some people were putting it up on Facebook and all that. But I know and I understand that it's a little bit difficult for those cases to be prosecuted and brought to justice. So it's unfortunate, but it's part of the system in Laredo still.
Well, it's all a part of the system throughout the United States, not only in Laredo. We see it a lot more here because we
live here and we're close to it. Yes.
But it happens throughout. Voter fraud happens throughout. Mm-hmm. It does exist.
Yes.
It does exist. McAllen was just hit very much so by people that were in good positions that got hit by the FBI for voter fraud. California's been hit. Baltimore's been hit. So it takes a while. The problem that happens is the cases our elections administrator, Mr. Tellez, told us. People make the complaint, and it might take 6-9 months later, and guess what? The election's already over. Mm-hmm. They come back and they say, are you willing to do this? Oh, yes, I don't want to continue moving with this forward. Mm-hmm. So people just get discouraged and they don't go forward. So unfortunately, that's what happens. But let's do this. The justice of the peace is a people's court.
Yes.
Got a couple of questions, because it's pretty nice, because I remember when I first got a ticket, I was 16 years old. And the first person that I went to go see was actually my friend's father, which was past judge. His name was Santos, and I went in front of his court. And here I am in front of a friend of mine's father, and he told me, you got community service. You weren't really going that far. You have to clean the office outside, and I was there for 3 weeks cleaning the office and everything else. But how would you treat a young man, young lady that first time, never had anything, goes into your court and says, judge?
Yes. Well, first let me tell you that the Texas Judicial Commission has canons for judicial candidates and judges, and they forbid us from giving opinions that might reasonably be interpreted as how we're going to rule on any case. But I am going to tell you as much as I think I can, based on the canons. I am definitely going to treat first-time offenders differently than I will treat repetitive offenders. 100% yes, because I believe first-time offenders have a lot more of a chance to correct their behavior than someone who's been doing it over and over and over. But of course, I am going to help that one person as well. But yes, basically, I will be a lot more understanding with someone who's done it for the first time. And something like you said is really good, community service. I would love to do something like, I want you to bring me straight A's on your school report, and I will dismiss the offense, the traffic violation. So yes.
Well, that's honorable, and it happens. You have good students that do get tickets, as well as you have bad students that do get tickets.
I was there. Oh my God, I was there. Yeah. I mean, I am now 45 years old, and I am paying old tickets, old traffic tickets. And so yes, I know the struggle. I know the pain, especially when you don't have money to pay for, your tickets. And so yes, I understand what they're going through, and that's some of the things. Those are some of the things and issues that matter a lot to our constituents. I've spoken to many of them, and one of their concerns, biggest concerns, is that they're concerned. Some of them have warrants for their arrest because they haven't been able to afford to pay their tickets, and so. Yes, I know that's a huge issue, and I understand them very well. I've lived it. I'm paying for tickets as I speak right now, and so I get it. I understand.
But on another note, is truancy. This court is very much involved with the truancy,
Yes.
and I've talked to all the candidates about it. What's your feeling on the truancy and how you can help, and what do you think? ¿Qué pasa?
Yes. Well, that is the kind of case that I want to focus on the most, because I know it sounds cliche, but they are our future. They really, really are. I want to target those absences. Truancy, for those of you that don't know, is excessive absences, school absences. The students are referred to a truancy officer, and then there's a process they go through. Now it's a longer process than in the past because the law has changed. It's no longer a criminal offense, it's now a civil matter. And so it takes a long while for it to get to my court, but when it does, I have a huge, huge responsibility towards those cases. My goal is to get to the root of the cause and work relentlessly to eliminate that root cause, and encourage them and help them find the power within them to be able to go back to school and try again and keep going and never give up, and make sure that they know that if they fall, they should get up and get up and get up and get up. And the only thing that doesn't have a solution is death. So you gotta keep trying and going and going. And I personally feel like I have a lot to give to those students, because my personal case is one of, let me tell you, I am a former teen mom. I had my daughter at 16 years old. When my mother went to speak to the counselor in high school and let her know that I was pregnant, the counselor advised my mother that I had to drop out of school because I was gonna create an epidemic because I was popular. And my mom was like, well, can she get, this is absurd. Yes, but that's the way.
An epidemic.
That's the way the system worked back then. They didn't want pregnant teenagers in school in the early 90s, late 80s, because of whatever reason, they had. And I'm telling you, that's the way it worked, because it didn't only happen to me. A year later, it happened to one of my close friends who was a cheerleader in Lariat at United High School. Same thing happened to her. The counselor told her mother that she had to get out of school and she had to sign the documents because she was going to cause chaos.
That is ridiculous.
And yes.
That is the most absurd thing that I've ever heard of, and this continued going on, this type of behavior from principals. And there was a principal that caused 4 suicides here in UISD that was never prosecuted because she told young girls and their parents that they needed to leave because they were pregnant. And nobody's ever said anything about that.
Yeah.
That to me is the most despicable thing that you can say. Okay?
Exactly.
And I am proud for you that you continue going to school, did you?
Yes, I did, through very, very hard times, through, lots of trials and errors. I got my associate's degree initially at LCC, then I got my bachelor's degree in psychology, and recently I got my master's degree in public administration.
Okay.
So I know the struggle, and I know how to talk to these children and how to help them find that power inside them to be strong and to change their surroundings and their situation. It's doable, it can be done. But I know that there are a lot of obstacles, and of course poverty is one of them.
Sure. Most of the things that I've seen are bullying, poverty, Some of the parents are young parents that are on drugs and the kids don't know what to do and they just want, there's a lot of different factors on there. Some of them, there are the breadwinners of the family.
Yes,
And so we need to work around with all that. But truancy needs to be dealt with. And I think it has to be done in a quicker standard. I think there has to be some legislative work that needs to be working on that.
Yes,
Because you are correct, I don't want to sound cliche like you said, but our children are our future.
Yes, they are, yes.
And we need to take care of that now.
Yes, I think intensive counseling programs for the children, for the students, for the young adults are very important.
Absolutely.
And civic engagement. I want to invite them over to the court and to see real life cases so they could learn from that. I also like what Judge Villarreal is doing with those mock trials. Those are awesome, and I would like to do something like that maybe eventually. I don't know, but to get them involved in civic duties and aware of what's going on, aware of other students going through the same thing that they are, and aware of what hopefully justice of the peace before them went through and survived, and how I triumphed over those obstacles.
And it's life. People say everybody's created equal. No, we're not. Everybody's different, and everybody makes the best of it of what they can do. It's the person moving forward. If the person stops, and that's when we have a problem.
Yes.
We have to adapt and continue evolving. That's the way life is.
Exactly, yes.
So when people say we're all created equal, no, we're not. We're all different, and we all have our special talents, and we all have a piece of the puzzle, which is this great big world that we live in.
Yes.
Understand? And that's just the way it is. But on another note, on your all's cases, you have a lot of evictions and small, the people's court, evictions, some restraining orders in there. How would you deal with that? How would you take care of that?
Well,
Let's talk about evictions first.
sadly, we do have a lot of evictions, and the most that I can do for those people is give them ample time to find another place, because we have to, as judges, we have to follow the rule of law strictly. And if the petitioner or landlord comes and files a petition that complies with all the rules, I have to rule in the favor of the landlord. But I could give ample time to the tenant suffering at the time to find a place and move out. Unfortunately, that's how it is. And that's why one of the reasons that I'm targeting poverty in Laredo, through research, I have found out so many things, so many injustices that are occurring in, the world, but here locally in our county and in our state.
Like what?
Like the poverty rate in Laredo, our level of poverty rate is 31%, and that's only the ones that are below the federal poverty level, which means they're like the poorest of the poor. Then we have another probably 30% that are just poor. They're not below the federal poverty level, but they're earning, $25,000 a year, $18,000, that amount. I found out about our tax system, how it's regressive, and it unfortunately works out in a way in Texas. It works out in a way that the people that make the least amount of money, those that are making $12,500 a year, they're paying the most percentage of that income in taxes. And I think that's really terrible. That's really bad. And so I decided, I don't know if you've seen already that I posted on Facebook, that I'm going to begin a nonprofit organization if I win the election. And I'm gonna establish it with the purpose of reducing poverty in our city, in our county. And it's gonna be targeted through improvement of the law, the legal system, and the administration of justice. And I plan to donate $20,000 of my first year's salary to that nonprofit organization. And that's about all I can say on the nonprofit for now, because I have to get together with different people to see who's going to be board of directors and choose people of all lives, all, you know, different kinds of people and different ideas, different views, different, I'm going to say, party lines, and so we can have a complete representation of our community in that nonprofit.
That's nice, that's a good gesture.
I think it's necessary.
Yeah,
I think it's
you are
necessary.
right. We live in a poverty level. We have our poverty levels very much down, and it does with a lot of factors. And one thing that I tell people is, when the census comes around, do it.
Yes, report every
Report.
single human being in your house.
And the reason people don't do that is because they're afraid.
Yes.
Do not be afraid. We get federal funding because of that. Our schools get money because of that. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
it's we're gonna end up with a forced census.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be very hard, and people are just gonna step back, and it's coming
Yeah.
because we need to find out, because there's a lot of cities like Laredo that are at a poverty-stricken.
A lot of them
and-
are on the border.
and then-
McAllen is number one in poverty right now.
Absolutely.
In the nation. Number one highest poverty
And I
level
bet you
in
they
the
don't.
nation.
And I bet you they don't do their census the same way. You know.
Yeah.
So we have to start looking for that.
And you know what? One of the good things, I did my census already online. I made sure I did it. It's super long, and it's burdensome. It was long, and I was like, yeah, I want to finish. But I did, and one of the things I read there is that you report the people that live with you, whether they are U.S. citizens or not U.S. citizens, whether they're documented or undocumented. You report everybody, because it affects our community and the funding that comes to us. And so, yes, people need to know that. That's one of the things that we need to focus on bringing awareness and educating the public about all these things. Because like you said, they're afraid to report people living with them because they don't know that it's okay to report them. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. We need to do that to move forward. We need to do that. On another note, let's say God grants you, and your next January you go in there, you're sworn in.
Yes, please. He knows.
And
He knows where my heart is and who I am, more than anyone else.
when you go in, what will be the first thing that you're gonna try to do? Change. Think.
Yeah. Let's see. First of all, it's gonna take a while, a pretty long while, because I'm not the kind of person that acts on impulse. I'm going to go in there, review, analyze, and after long hours of reviewing and analyzing how the court is working, how it has been working, I'm going to make decisions to see what is best to keep, what is no longer good to keep, and what is good to bring new. And that's going to take me a pretty long while, like I said, because I'm not going to just, say, this is not, I don't like that, and that, no, no, I'm going to take my time. That's how I am. That's how I've always been. I analyze, I research, and then I produce, and I decide after a long time of researching and seeing different ways of doing things. And so I do plan to use in this court, aside from the administrative changes that I may make, I am emphasizing it a lot, is restorative justice. It's a supplemental kind of justice that we can use in our justice system. And what that is that the goal of restorative justice is to restore the victim. This is on criminal cases. As you know, we get only Class C misdemeanor cases that result on fines only, no incarceration cases are brought to our case. We have no jurisdiction over those. So what it does is we work and we target on restoring the victim of the crime and restoring the community and repairing the harm done, and then rehabilitating the offender to make certain, or at least hope, that it works enough so that the offense does not reoccur. I think that is supremely important to use in especially in these cases where the cases are minor and it's the beginning of something that could become a lifelong, I don't want to say style for the offender, but something that he or she might become. Yes. So this is the place where we have to use this kind of justice the most. It's the most beneficial here. Once they graduate to the higher courts, then it's, I believe, more difficult, but doable as well. But we have such huge responsibility here, even though we don't get those cases, because we can stop them right here. This is it. This is your last court. You're not going anywhere else. It ends here. This is why. And this is how you're going to stop doing it, And that is really one of my main goals as well. Truancy and that. It's sort of, it goes together. You stop here. You don't go anywhere further. You change your ways. You change direction right here. And I know how to help you. And let's do intensive counseling for you, your family. Is it drugs? Well, let's take you to drug rehab. And, that's my main goal, to be able to do that for our community.
Everybody talks about drugs, and we do have an epidemic here.
Unfortunately.
Opiates and all the way up to what have you, And we really need to stop, and it's a whole community effort.
Mm-hmm.
Not only from the judicial, the police, but us as a community, we all have to put our foot down.
Exactly.
Whichever measures, we have to take to stop it, we have to.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it does affect way too many people, and it does affect everybody when it happens,
Exactly.
And it's hard to see, but I think we have to do more counseling when they get the first offenses. We have to start hitting it,
Yes.
because
There.
once you stick them inside the penal system,
Yeah.
it's
Difficult
difficult
to get out. Very difficult.
either they come out worse or better criminals. And
Exactly.
there
That's
were
right.
some that rehabilitated and came out and everything else, but the majority of them,
They become another statistic.
and they continue. They're habitual,
Unfortunately, yes.
and they know how to wait and go through the system better.
Yeah, they learn there.
It's unfortunate, but it does happen.
Yeah.
Anything else would you like to tell people out there in the community about you?
Well, I am the best and most qualified candidate for the position because of my experience in the legal field, because of my personal struggles and my personal experiences, and because of where my heart and my mind are. I want to help everyone, and I want to make certain that our community thrives and that our poverty level is reduced significantly, and not only here but everywhere, right? But it starts here with one person, 2 persons, 3 persons, and then it becomes all our community, right? And we all strive for the same goal, to reduce poverty and make lives better for all of us, not only those directly affected by it, but all of us. And so that, and then also please make sure you go out to vote, but never go out by yourself. Take a friend, take your brother, your sister, your mom, whoever you can, but take someone with you. Remember that, and I know most of you don't know, that there is a system, a corrupt system of cañoneros in our community that takes out thousands of people to vote. They're being paid and they're influencing our politics and our government in Laredo, and we can't let that happen. We can't let that continue happening. And the only way we're gonna defeat that is if you and you go out and take your friends and family and everyone possible that you can to go out to vote for your choice of candidate, not the choice of the cañonero or the politico that they want in office. Your choice is the one that counts. So go out, vote, tell people.
People need to go out and vote. They have to
Yes.
exercise your right to vote. You have to exercise that dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
And do not be influenced. We've had a lot of coercing of people, a lot of oppressive tactics have been done in the past. It happens.
I've heard it all.
Not, I mean, that has been, I'm from here. So, you can't tell me, no, it's been done. That is, I haven't seen it as much as it was 20 years ago, but it's probably,
So I'm glad I'm starting now, because it's getting better.
What was I gonna tell you? Wishing you the best.
Thank you so much.
We are going to have a debate, and you said you'll be here on the
Yes, I
11th.
will. Yes.
Folks, we're gonna be having debates, we're gonna pre-record them, then put them out there for you all to decide, and everything will be fun.
Yeah,
I think it'll be great.
I think so too.
Thank you,
so
no,
much.
thank you so much, and thank you for standing up and doing what you're doing.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Until next time, peace.
Bye.
The following political paid advertisements do not reflect the political opinions of the program or its associates. Any political campaign or candidate who wishes to purchase advertising can do so. Advertising is open to all on behalf of Gloves Off. Gloves Off is always on point. Bringing you the best on current issues, community affairs, and the happenings around us. This segment of Gloves Off is brought to you by The Best, so pay them a visit. Check them out. This is Gloves Off.